committee.
And
But it's nice because it allows me like a couple hours pretty much every week for meetings and stuff. So and she's super flexible. It's great. And it's really nice to just open the door time and post it. So that's all there is to it.
Or kind of often.
And we're live.
It's now 7 o'clock and we do have a quorum. Councilor Merrill is on Zoom. We'll call the meeting to order. Committee of the Whole, May the 9th. First item is the adoption of the agenda. Any questions? Next item, declaration of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest. Anybody? None. Item 4, delegations, presentations, or petitions. We have the RCMP report. If you'd like to have a seat, turn your mic on.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We'll go through the sort of classify as our occurrences. So 395 calls for service during the month of April. 38 of those were for person crimes related to assaults, 1 for sexual offenses. Break and enters, both residents and business, were 4. We had 11 files related to the Mental Health Act. Theft files totaling 10, both under and over 5,000. 1 complaint of drug possession. Liquor Act, 44 files, causing a disturbance of mischief, sort of our bulk of our work, 117 files, and that's very much related to the warming temperatures and folks being outside a bit more. 11 calls for service for impaired driving, and 170 or 162 additional complaints. Yeah, victim services referrals. We're working hard with the Department of Justice right now with efforts at restorative justice, especially for any offenses that involve youth. We have been mandated to utilize more local services, restorative justice. In my opinion, it's certainly a better approach than referring people to the criminal system. And we have a very good relationship with the Restorative Justice Committee here in Inuvik, and we work and communicate with them regularly to provide those services when appropriate for people. Our victim services, of course, we're always working very closely with them and continue to make those proactive and referrals that are based on people's wishes. Notable occurrences for the month. So as most of you are aware, in very early April, the Inuvik RCMP received a complaint that is a departure from what we would normally receive complaints about, but that there was a possible kidnapping that had happened from a residence in Inuvik. The police in Inuvik responded, learned that the vehicle had gone on to the ITH. So the Tuck RCMP were contacted and coordinated a stop of the vehicle with the use of a spike belt, which was successful. It's a very rare occurrence. I can only think of one other time in the 10 years that I've been around that's occurred. You know, those are rare circumstances. There's a lot of decision making that goes into those. It's made it usually a commander level or a staff sergeant level, but it worked out this time. And the gentleman that was arrested remains in custody of the North Slave Correctional Center, and the victim is receiving ongoing medical attention for her injuries. So to break down our performance plan initiatives: family violence, road safety, and community and cultural awareness. So during the month of April, the Inuvik RCMP investigated 38 reports of assault, including 1 of assault with a weapon and kidnapping and aggravated assault I spoke of. So 11 of these matters were cleared by criminal code charge, which is an uptick. That's usually involvement of those that are either a witness to or a victim of the offenses, working with police. And 5 remain under investigation. And our continued efforts to work with the partnering agencies to try to reduce any violence, but certainly intimate partner violence. Road safety for impaired driving during the month. Investigated again 11 reports of impaired driving. 3 of these matters were cleared by criminal charge. We did 1 selective enforcement traffic stop that was conducted each week, resulting in police providing reminders, mostly around seat belts and carrying a license with you while you drive. Summary offense tickets for having no driver's license, registration. I believe there was a criminal code charge as well for driving while prohibited. We've also been, along with our municipal enforcement partners, patrolling the school zones to ensure the student safety. A lot more students walking to and from school now, so we're trying to, at times, as was suggested by Councillor Wayman at the last meeting, to get out and, to speak with people. Certainly if we see kids on the wrong side of the road or driving their bike without kind of having their head up and aware of their surroundings. So giving out those little reminders. It's our intention to continue these efforts as we lead into the summer months. We're fortunate enough to acquire the jet boat, the Harborcraft out of McPherson. So that's now going to be here in Inuvik. And by mid-June, we'll have myself and 2 other members that will be certified operators. So our hope is to have, based on operational requirements, but to have a presence on the waterways. Definitely areas like these channel here, Airport Lake, popular spots like that. We're also in the process right now of having potentially 2 members attend for a mountain bike course. It's going to happen in Yellowknife. It's a 5-day course, mountain bikes in the RCMP, but it's to enhance that presence in the downtown core, certainly to also just for visibility purposes. And it's a really good enforcement tool, I think, as well. So for community and cultural awareness, so a member of our detachment joined in a 2-day workshop that took place at the school, which focused on school safety, some threat and risk assessment, how to identify and proactively be a part of solution building with young people that are, displaying behaviors that may or may not make them more likely to be involved in the justice system, one shape or another. Drug and alcohol awareness presentations were delivered to junior high students. Members visited the school to meet with students and staff. And beginning this month in June, we'll be assisting the high school breakfast program. So it'll take place each Friday morning between 8 and 9 a.m. So it's a really great opportunity for especially our newer members, but for all of us to meet the young students there and the junior high and high school students, and sit and have kind of a meal at the end before we carry on with our day. And as I've talked about those foot patrols, so I've directed our membership to conduct those, whether it be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour if they can, and also to sort of report back. So I'm keeping track of those stats. We're averaging a couple of, say, half-hour foot patrols each week. Actually, we keep stats of liquor that's seized and disposed of, and as part of just a handful of those stats went way up, simply because when you're a truck, people see you coming when you walk around the corner, you're right there. So, we recognize that the public consumption of alcohol is an issue. It's not something that anybody really wants to see as they walk by trying to, go to the bank or the store. And so we're also trying to work with the folks that we understand have, sometimes polysubstance or mental health and addiction issues, and so try to find that fair balance. I have spoken with the corporal at Yellowknife. Councillor Devlin was talking about the drone awareness and enforcement. So this gentleman is an operator for the RCMP for drones, and just putting together a kind of enforcement and awareness check sheet so that we'll be able to hopefully roll that out into some of the community events that go forward. Moving forward. And yeah, that's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
Thank you for the report. It's good to see you're doing the foot patrols again. I think it's great you're getting out in the community. I guess it makes the RCMP more a part of the community. And the mountain bikes, I remember years ago when the RCMP had the bike patrols. And I think it was a welcome addition. Anyway, does council have any questions? Oh, thank you very much. Keep up the great work.
Okay.
Did you have one?
I just,
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
it's not actually a question though. It's just to follow up on what Mayor Wood has just said. Oftentimes when RCMP come to this table, we're saying, why aren't you getting involved in the community and why don't we see you? And it sounds like the current crew is really working towards that. So I just want to acknowledge that and say that we do appreciate it. So
Yeah, thank you. I
Thanks.
appreciate that. We are looking at our transfer season right now, and so it is at times, and I impart this to our membership that we are asking a lot, but I've been up here quite some time and I recognize the importance of these are the things that we also need to do, and to get that better, broader perspective and understanding of the community as opposed to going out on calls and going back to the office. So now that it's warm, there's nothing wrong with taking a walk. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda, 4.2 will be Wednesday night presentation of the Power Corporation. Public question period. Item 6.1, minutes of the April 13th, 2022 council meetings. Any questions, corrections? Councilor Devlin?
Oh, no, I saw a typo, so I can't remember what it was.
I'll take a look.
Yeah,
the extra
Just send
period.
it
and
out to
one of
me.
the sentences.
it may have been, it was something very minor, but yeah.
Okay. 6.2, minutes of the April 25th and 27th council meetings. Any questions, concerns, corrections? None. 7.1, action items list. Any questions on that?
No,
Nothing?
it's here.
Perfect.
8.1, Town of Inuvik fees and charges amendment. Any questions? Nothing. Vote for a motion Wednesday night. 8.2, recreation survey. Any questions on this? By the way, Lee's great work on this.
No, come on.
Fantastic survey, by the way.
Actually, I thought of it too late. I had it in PowerPoint, but I didn't send it through to Grant, so I apologize for that. Just a quick run through the survey. Finally, I've done the report. The survey for the new council came as a result of a facility utilization study that the previous council had asked me to do, and so stats came out of that. And the recommendation that came from that was that a survey be done to see what, facility use of the public, what they perceive, the use of, their use of the facilities, what they'd like to see improved, any comments, questions, whatever that they had. So the Parks, Recreation and Library Advisory Committee, we sat down, we devised the survey, albeit it's been a long time coming. It came out and it came out during COVID. So some of the answers that we did get were COVID frustrations. So I just sort of, you channeled those aside a bit because, the response there was because of COVID, not because of anything else. So although we attempted to reach as much of the community as we could, we had the survey, Jackie's department had put it online for people to fill out online. And we got probably better than half of the response came from that. Then we had them in envelopes, in pockets at the library, at the post office, at the drugstore, at the hospital. We also did a mass email out for all the community groups saying, you know, put it out there to your people, have them fill it out, send it in. Out of all that, we received 91 responses. So whether it's good or bad, like I would like more, but that's what we got. When you take a look at the results of the surveys and some of the answers to the questions, we didn't really get a full cross section of the whole community. And you'll see in some of the questions, especially some of the questions too, we found were answered. The interpretation was different. So you read one person, then you read the next person, and you said, well, you know, you're kind of the same up here, but then you're taking it from different angles. So some of the questions may not have been clear enough for people, or it was their interpretation. There was nobody for them to ask, well, what do you mean by this? So usually an in-person survey is more time consuming, but you get to be able to explain if somebody has a question. So when you take a look at question 4, the demographic of the wages there, it seems skewed because we're not sure the way the respondents answered. Some of them would have like 5-6 people in the household and a very low income, and another person had one in the household, a high income, or 3 adults with a medium income. So it wasn't clear whether they were including everybody in the household in that question, or whether it was, you know, it was open to interpretation. And certainly those results aren't really a true cross section of what we typically know of our community. A lot of the respondents had lived here for the better part of 11 or more years, better than half of those that responded. Of those that responded for areas that required assistance, membership fees and registration fees seem to be the top go-to. But it was interesting in that of those that we asked them, like, you know, would you need assistance? Only 7 people responded saying, yes, we would like to see assistance. And then when you ask the majority where, you know, do you know where to get assistance? The vast majority, even though they didn't need assistance, didn't know where. So obviously we've got work to do in that area to make people more aware of the assistance that may be out there for them to access programs or access memberships, the different social service agencies that might be able to help out, or the different user groups that do reduce some of their fees for registration. Minor Hockey does it for all of its participants that can't afford. They find a way to make them afford. So we can do a better job at getting that out to people. The question number 10, I found it was kind of strange because only 47 out of 91 responded, and it had to do with their children and what the reason their children participated in events. So either the people didn't have kids, or they just didn't feel like they had the answer from their kids to be able to answer that question. Because on the flip side, for their own personal answer, I think 86 out of 91 people responded. So it seemed a little bit strange that they didn't talk about what they felt their kids, why their kids participated. In talking over with Councillor Devlin, when we took a look at some of the results of the survey, I think what we're going to do is take some of our staff that are out in the parks, out in the playgrounds, working with the kids this summer, and then certainly we can tap into Children First, the youth center, and see what their kids there have to say, just to give us sort of the kids' perspective of what they like, what they don't like, and what they'd like to see. And it was interesting, I found in question 12 that the activities that were the most, that they participated and of which they had interest, and there again, that question people answered totally differently. So we combined their answers into one, as opposed to having participation as one and interest as a second. So the top activities were camping, canoeing, swimming, and walking. And out of all those, they're individual activities more so than team activities, which was kind of interesting to see. And then the least popular were sailing, ringette, and dog sledding, of which we don't have ringette. I've never seen anybody sailing, but I guess for some people, it might be things that they enjoyed doing before they moved here. And that could have been why those responses were there, or they have the interest in those things and we haven't had that opportunity for them to participate in them. When we took a look at favorite activities, of course, swimming was top the list. Arts and crafts and hockey were the top three. When you take a look at the question, though, it was surprising and indicative that we didn't obtain a strong cross-section of the community. When you take a look at the one-ofs on page 16, bingo was only one person mentioned it. And we all know how popular bingo is. So we didn't reach that bingo section of the population. Same with cross-country skiing, that's quite popular here. Feast is super popular, and it was only mentioned by one person. The kids carnival, which they have 1,001 kids go to, it was only mentioned by one person. So and the skateboard park is constantly full of kids playing there. So those things it's indicative that we didn't hit that full spectrum of facility users based on the responses that we got there. In question 14, desired programs, activities, or events, there's a lot of good suggestions in there that staff are taking a look at and seeing how can we bring in these programs, do these programs, or get others to deliver the programs for us. So we are taking a look at the responses that are there. Fitness classes, it was interesting, it was top of the list, and I guess our hiccup in the last few years has been COVID and not being able to bring in the trainer program so that we could get additional instructors. So that's something that we're looking to work on in this next year. Okay. Flipping over to question, excuse me, 15, involvement in organizations and service clubs. There again, we got like A to Z, and it was such a broad range of organizations. Some are not even active or even in town, so I'm not too sure what the interpretation of that question was for some people. Maybe it was I used to partake in this club or this group, and now I no longer can, but so that was a little bit different. The activity of through winter, weekly activity, and through winter and summer, actually it was pretty neat. In summer, there was better than half of the respondents did 6+ hours a week. And in winter, when you take a look at it, given it's winter, pretty much almost half there did the 3 to 5 hours a week, which I thought was pretty interesting. So people are still maintaining activity throughout the colder months as well. Question 17, and I just highlighted that the East 3 playground was attributed as one of the higher pleasure areas or use areas or facility use areas for outdoor, well, not for outdoor, for any facility. That question, you could tell by if the parent had children and they took it that the children went to East 3 5 days a week, so many weeks a year, and they multiplied that out as their monthly use. So that skewed that playground, because I think if you take a look at some of the other playgrounds in town through the summer, there's heavier use there than you would have at East 3, but East 3 through the school year does have probably the majority use because the kids are there every day. So that was a little bit skewed there. Now on the back end of that, one of the least used facilities. One of them listed was youth center. So there again, that's where I know that we didn't get the full demographic because the youth center is heavily used and is a popular area for the kids to be at. So given that it was one of the lower out of the whole response, there again, the demographic that we had responding to the survey were not youth center users. So there was a few comments that were made in question 17, and one that staff had discussed is that that we might be able to alleviate, like some people indicated that Boot Lake Trail, they were hesitant to use because of bears, especially during the spring and in the summer is what they listed. But staff was talking, we thought, well, perhaps if we, do walking groups a couple days a week or whatever, so that people, if they go in numbers, they're more comfortable because there is a group. And I know that when we had a trail walk a couple of years ago with the commemoration of the Canada Trail, the first day we were supposed to have it, I think just a handful of people showed up, but mind you, it was snowing at the end of August. So we decided to postpone it to the next week, and we asked the lady and the kids that were there, if you want to go, like, we'll wait for you and we'll barbecue something up for you. And they go, yeah, no, not enough people. I'm afraid for bears. And so they came the following week, and we had a big crowd go out, and they went in groups. So there was the comfort of that. So I think, something like that, if we could do for people, then it might make the trail use a little bit more, they'll be happier to use the trail in the spring and summer months. Question 18, we took a look at, how do you hear about things that are happening in the community? And surprisingly, the biggest one was word of mouth. Posters and Facebook sites. Oh no, the biggest one, sorry, was Facebook sites. The second biggest was word of mouth, with posters following up after that. So those are our general go-tos. Posters and Facebook sites, although we do the posters, we do put up as many places as we can, but it seems to be that what we have been doing, hopefully we have been reaching people. Some people did indicate that they didn't hear about things, so that's why they didn't attend, but So question 19, okay, let's see again. We had divided up into any comments or stuff, improvements for facility, parks, or playgrounds that people would want with respect to maintenance, accessibility, and other comments. In general, looking at the comments and suggestions brought forward, staff have taken a look at it, and we've begun to address some of the areas that we feel that we can, upon which we can improve. And some comments are made specific to operations during COVID. So, you have to just take those, put them aside a bit because they're no longer relevant. So in those areas, we're back to pre-COVID operations pretty much. A few comments were made from the public's lack of up-to-date information with respect to ongoing or scheduled improvements. I don't know, and I'm open to suggestion, given the communication that has been done on the town's website, through notices, facility updates, council meeting minutes, there's so much on the website and I know Jackie's department throws stuff out all the time. You get the little notifications in your email. It's apparent some residents are just not accessing the information or simply require maybe additional or increased communiques with respect to what's happening or some different type of approach. Like, I'm kind of at a loss because I feel that, the communications coming out of the town, it's there, and if people don't know it, and often, it goes on Facebook and everybody's sharing it. So I'm at a loss to know why people don't know what's happening. So, okay. Whoops. I screwed things up there. Okay, so typically, question 20, we just ask for general comments or suggestions, of which there again, there's some good suggestions in there that we're taking a look at, seeing how we can improve our operations or enhance our operations with what we have, and new programs or new accessibility for people to access programs. Those are the kinds of things we're looking at. The survey I find was positive in finding some common public needs. And certainly they're helpful for the department so that we can take a look at different things that we can improve upon or programs that we can add or enhance or partner with other members in the community to deliver. The one thing that the rec committee or the advisory committee did not want to include budgetary item in the survey, so we didn't. But I think taking a look at some of the responses, I really don't think people know how much it really costs to run the recreation department, what council affords the community through our facilities. And I think that it's that kind of a little bit of lack of knowledge that people like, well, you should be doing this, and you don't have this. Well, that all costs money. And I don't think they really put the dollar figures together for that. And I think if they knew a little bit more, and the information's on the website, but they don't access it through accessing the budget. But I think if they knew a little bit more, or were a little bit more aware of the costs of each, not only recreation, but the cost of each department, it's pretty phenomenal. And some people just seem to want more. And it's like, I don't think they fully realize the true cost of everything here. And that's kind of about it.
Thank you, Lise. Very good report, by the way.
Thank you.
You put a lot of work into this. Any questions from council? Deputy Mayor Kulikowski.
Thanks, Lise. Just a couple questions that came up for me. Is it better if I ask them both
Go
at
ahead.
the same time? Okay. The first one, just with the idea of the kind of asking the kids in the park this summer, is that like a scripted kind of form that each camp leader or whoever it is will have that they can then return to you, or is it just like a casual conversation?
No, I'd like to spearhead some, a few questions, like they can talk in general with the kids as well, but I'd like to get them to bring, what did the kids say about this and about this and about this. So I'd like to script it a little bit, but certainly if the kids just natter on, then so be it. Like, we'll take whatever information they want to bring back to us and with their ideas and suggestions.
Okay, great. My second question is just moments ago, you're talking about the maintenance and then people not knowing about what was coming. I know that maybe like 4 years ago, we put out a post in the beginning of the construction season to say what all the road work was going to be for the year. So maybe that's an idea that we can put out, is what the playground work is going to be for the year, or the parks and trails work. Like at the start of the season, then people know what's coming, or if they're, when they have the questions for counselors of when are they ever going to do this, we can say, oh, actually it's on this list, let's do it, getting done this year, kind of thing.
Okay. I think in part I was getting it, like, some people didn't even know we were getting soccer fields.
Right, but yeah.
Or a new ball diamond, like they were just, we would need a new ball diamond. It's like this was, it's been so long in coming and so much has been out there. Yes, we're going to do it. And Castle went out, we did all those meetings at the library and it's like, where were you guys? Yeah, anyways, but no, I see what you're saying. And yeah, we can certainly take a look at that.
Okay. That's all I have. Just thanks again for the survey. I know it was a lot of work to put it together and a long time coming with all the results, but I mean, it's great to have even a snapshot of what people in town are thinking recreation wise. So thanks.
Councilor Devlin.
Thank you, Lise. You and I talked about this late last week and went over it. And as I said then, I'll say again, I thought this was excellent. There's some great information there that both your staff, your staff, and the Rec and Parks Board can certainly work with and sort of pushing forward. To your question about, perhaps better ideas on sort of getting people just knowledge, general knowledge, just about some of the programs. Maybe it's looking at some better tools for the website, it's something as simple as a calendar with stuff so I can go on this week and know that on Monday of this week there's yoga and on Thursday. We have some very generic, sort of general things on the website right now, but again, if I was just going on to find out what's on tonight, I can't really find that necessarily. I have to jump in a little bit. And there's always and believe me, I attempted this at one point in my career, is putting together some sort of recreation guide. And I know the challenges here in Inuvik of doing that, both with the very quick changes in programs, depending on who's in the town at a certain time, and inconsistencies with a whole bunch of things. And I understand some of that challenge. I attempted one at one point. It blew up in my face, so I'm not going to certainly not going to push that. But maybe something where we can put out a quarterly, even just something in people's mailboxes, just listing the quarterly programs. Just something where there is that extra piece of advertising that's physical. And yeah, half of them will wind up on the floor of the post office. We understand that, but still, it is an effective way. And there will be people that will stick them on their fridges, because that's going to list their rec programs. Just a couple of ideas to sort of try to get it out there. But again, Lise, a very detailed survey, and really appreciate the level of detail and the information that you managed to get out of the survey. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Devlin. Any questions, Councillor Gallant? You're the only one left.
Councillor Merrill.
Oh, Councillor Merrill's on the phone.
No, I agree with what council said, Lise. It's very detailed. I think as a council, this really helps us when it comes to looking at what are we doing well and where are some of the gaps. And it helps us as councilors when we get those questions from the residents about, well, how come you're not doing this? And we can say, okay, well, we actually are doing this, and we actually have some data to share with you on, is it successful? Is it popular or not? So.
Thank you. Councillor Merrill, did you have any questions? No.
No, no, I don't. Thank you.
Item 8.3 is the Muskrat Jamboree's request for donation for the Kiddies Carnival, June 4th and 5th. Unfortunately, they're not here to answer questions. Any comments? Councillor Gallant.
I'm just thinking about the cash policy. Does that not cover the Muskrat Jamboree and the Kiddies Carnival? Are they not part of the same organization?
I believe they're two separate items. Maybe SAO would clarify that.
Yes, this is a separate item. This is similar as even the $2,500 in the policy is just a straight donation. If you remember, even when they came for the Jamboree, they asked for a donation of the space, and this is a similar type thing as where they're asking for a donation at the pavilion for items. So they're kind of separate.
That answers your question.
It does, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none. We have no bylaws. Department head group, capital project, where's the voice here? Numbers mixed up. 10.1, which is 10.2, financial report. Any questions on that? Nothing. 10.2, capital projects report. Any questions? Councillor Devlin.
Yeah, I just love the fact that we're buying a tractor. I'm just wondering what we're going to use the tractor for. First time seeing it.
It is for the maintenance of the recreation fields, especially, the mower and other attachments.
Any further questions? Moving on. Information items, we have 3 projects from the Aurora Research Institute. And item 12, council concerns. Any concerns tonight? Nothing. We have no in camera tonight, so a motion to adjourn.